Hello everybody, I am Tom and you are watching me play Destiny 2. So today's video we're going to talk about preparation for the final shape. So I tend to do one of these videos every year, just the kind of things that you should be doing, I say should be, the kind of things you can be doing if you want to be extra prepared for the final shape when it releases. The reason I'm doing this video now rather than a couple of weeks before is that we are 6 weeks out from the actual expansion launching, and what that means is that you can get the total best value if you start now. Granted, this total best value isn't super meaningful. You can ignore a lot of this if you're not one of the uber sweats who's going for like day one raid type stuff. A lot of this stuff is kind of niche. Some of it is more general and always a good idea, but a lot of it is niche and not really necessary. So first things first, I was talking about the 6 weeks. The reason you need to be 6 weeks in is because of bounties. If you want to bounty hoard, which is something that you can do in Destiny, as you can see here, I'll switch to my character, there we go. So, when you have bounties sitting like this completed in your bounty registry, they will stay here forever. You can see here that these all award XP++. This is 12,000 experience on your season pass. However, these won't go away, aside from a select few, seasonal ones will go away, but for the most part, anything that has been in the game a long time, these won't leave your inventory when the expansion launches. What this means is that when the new expansion launches, you can claim all these, and you'll get all the experience after the start of the new season. So you get a jump start on your artifact. That is the only real reason to do this, by the way, is the jump start on the artifact. If you save a bunch of bounties, you can get to potentially even the 3rd column on the first day without doing anything. What this means is that you can get a bunch of these cool perks a lot quicker, which is only look here, a lot of these are very, very good, right? While Radiant, your Solar Precision Final Blows calls combatants to ignite. That's an incredibly powerful passive to have, and the earlier you get it, the better, generally speaking. So, assuming that everything is going to work the same, it may be a bit different since we don't have seasons going forward, we're going to have episodes. But I imagine that this kind of system with having an artifact for the season and or episode is still going to be a thing. So, after you get that, you can then claim all of your bounties that you've saved from the previous season, which will give you a bunch of experience and a big step forward before you even really start playing. Now, the ones that I have done here are the weeklies. This one here is from Neomuna. These 3 here are from the moon. There is technically a 4th from the moon, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to do, so I never bothered doing it. I'll go through all of these in detail in a second. We have 2 here from the Dreaming City, we have 2 here from Europa, and we have 2 from the Cosmodrome. These 2 here from... one from the Dreaming City and 1 from Europa. These are on a weekly lockout. There are 6 of these Ascendant challenges, so you can do a different bounty for all 6 of them. Which means if you're going to do that though, you have to start this week, because every week it's on a rotation and there's only 6 weeks left. So, if you start this today, you can get all 6 of these. And the ones from Europa, there are only 3 of those. It is each of the different Empire hunts. So there is a bounty to do each of them. And it is, again, on a weekly lockout. So next week, it's going to be a different Empire hunt. That's going to be 3, so you'll have 3 of these bounties, 6 of these bounties. And these are the rest of the weeklies that you can do. There is a couple more that I haven't bothered to do. Notably, I will cut here, and I'll be back with you momentarily. Alright, we're back. So I'm over here at Hawthorne. If you talk to Hawthorne, excuse me. She is the clown. She is a bit of a clown, look at her face. But she is the clown vendor. So, if you have a clan, any of these bounties you can do with your clanmates. And they are also weeklies that will give you a bunch of experience. They also give you clan XP, so you will level up your clan early on as well. I haven't really bothered with any of these yet. Maybe I'll do the raiding one. I don't know, we'll think about it. They're a bit more of a commitment because you have to organize with other people to do them. You can't kind of just do them by yourself on your off time. But there are more than just 3. The raid one never changes, it is just complete a raid. So you'll get one of these. I think there are 4 different Crucible ones and 4 different Gambit ones, if I remember correctly. But the chances of these popping up is completely random week to week. So you can get the same one popping up multiple times, week over week. And if that happens, then you just shit out of luck. I don't think there's any set rotation to these. I think they're random. So, again, starting 6 weeks, you'll probably get them all if you're really dedicated. But this one, for instance, is assist or land final blows with clanmates in the Crucible. You're going to need to get 20 final blows between you and your clanmates. There is also another Crucible one, which is just win Crucible games playing with clanmates. There's another one that does get ability final blows, I think. I can't remember. There's a few of them for each of both Gambit and Crucible. So you can get a bunch of these as well. I'm probably not going to bother with any of them except maybe the raid one. Maybe I'll spam a checkpoint and do a couple of raid things. As for the other bounties, I will go through them one by one. Does anyone else hate this page and wish it was just this by default? Maybe I'm just old school, but I much prefer this layout. Anyway, the first one on Neomuna is relatively self-explanatory. You do need the Lightfall expansion to be able to do this weekly bounty, I'm 99% sure. However, all you need to do is go to the Vex Incursion Zone and kill a bunch of Vex until you get Shellcode Fragments. You'll need 8 of those. They're a random drop. You need to kill things with Strand in the Incursion Zone. And what the Incursion Zone is, for those who aren't aware, we will go to Neptune. Today is Living Harbour. It'll be one of these 3 areas. You see these little kind of flowing Vex doodads? This is where the area is you need to kill the Vex. And also, you'll need to open a chest in Terminal Override. So you just need to run Terminal Override all the way to Tier 3 until you get the final chest. And you need to open the chest that requires the Terminal Override key. Killing all the Vex beforehand will probably get you a key if you don't have one. It does drop. The keys can drop from pretty much anything in Neomuna. So just doing activities around Neomuna and killing things will get you with a key, and then you can run Terminal Overload. And that is the Neomuna weekly quest. That's the Neomuna weekly quest. Relatively simple, if a bit tedious. Next we have the moon. So we have these 2 here, which are from Eris Morn. Slow Wave Disruption, you just have to complete Altars of Sorrow. So Altars of Sorrow is the massive public event that is up in Sorrow's Harbour. So my suggestion would be to load into Sorrow's Harbour and see if there's people running around doing things. If there's a bunch of people here, they're probably doing the event. So you go join them. If there's nobody here, you can just start it yourself. And if you're powerful enough, it's pretty easy to just solo all of it. But it's much quicker if there's other people. So I would just say re-fast travel back here and keep re-fast traveling back here until you see a bunch of people actually doing the activity, then join them. Because it will be so much faster for you. So much faster. For record, how many of you have to do of these for the bounty? If you start from wave 1 and go all the way to wave 5, it will clear it in 1. If you join halfway through, you'll have to go back and do the first couple of waves again. It is worth noting that I'm pretty sure the first wave gives you the same as the last wave. So probably the quickest way to do it, although you won't get extra rewards from actually completing the event, is to just do wave 1, fast travel, do wave 1, fast travel, do wave 1, fast travel for 5 times. I'm pretty sure that will complete the bounty the fastest possible way. But again, you're not really getting anything else from doing that. At least if you do a whole run of Sorrow's Harbour, you'll get the gun at the end, so that's something. Next up, we have the other one from Eris, which is just complete all of the lost sectors on the moon. It says, I say all. Click the 3 of the lost sectors on the moon. The 3 that you need to do are as follows. You need to do K1 Logistics, you need to do K1 Crew Quarters, and you need to do K1 Communion. After you do all 3 of them, the bounty is complete. You don't actually have to do Revelation at all, you can just ignore it. So you just do each of those, and the bounty is complete. Very easy one. Next up, we have Nightmare Sojourner. So this comes from the lectern on Mars, just next to Eris Morn. So if you just walk to Eris and talk to her, if you just look to your left, there is a little lectern thing there, you can go talk to that, which will give you 2 more bounties. There is this one, which is kill nightmares anywhere. As long as you're killing nightmares, it's fine. If you are doing this one here, where you're doing waves of Altars of Sorrow, you're going to get this completed just by doing this, because this is full of nightmares. The whole point of this activity is to kill nightmares. So if you grab these at the same time, this one will just get completed by doing this. You don't even have to think about it. The other one that is available from the same place, from the lectern, is to get nightmare kills in nightmare hunts, which I never do because it's just a pain in the ass. It takes a really long time. There aren't that many people doing nightmare hunts because it's very old activities, so you can try and matchmake it and like run through a bunch of nightmare hunts, but it'll take you like 10 nightmare hunts to complete it. It's really not worth it in my mind. The only reason I would tell anybody to do this the other weekly bounty, is if you've never done the nightmare hunts, they're fun the first time through, just not the 100th time through. So if you've never done them, sure, grab the bounty, go do them, it's fun, whatever. But if you've done them before, don't worry about it. It's 12,000 experience, it can leave, no one cares.
Still with us?
Next up, we have the 2 permanent ones from the Dreaming City and Europa. So the one from the Dreaming City is you need to do the Blind Well completions. If you do a tier 4 or a heroic Blind Well, so you do the tier 3, finish the tier 3, and chuck in the Unstable at the end, this will give you a tier 4. If you do 2 tier 4s, it will complete this bounty. I still hold that it should be 1 tier 4 to complete this bounty. It's kind of tedious, but nonetheless. And for those who don't know where the Blind Well is, just to be as thorough as possible, in the Dreaming City, it's really convenient now. You can actually load into the Blind Well just by clicking this node and loading in. You can just launch it directly from orbit or from anywhere. So just keep loading this until you see someone that's hanging about. Again, this is soloable. You can do it solo, but it's much easier when there's other people around. So just keep loading in until you get a bunch of people doing a tier 3 would be my suggestion.
The view up here is pretty good too.
And then we have the European bounty. Here. On Europa, complete lost sectors, public events, and patrols. The simplest way to do this one by far is to do a lost sector. Pick your favorite lost sector, do it 3 times. Completes this. It's very, very quick. Any lost sector on Europa, it doesn't matter. You can do anything. If you prefer to do public events or patrols, go ahead. But 1 lost sector gets you 33%, so it's by far the quickest to just run 3 lost sectors. It is definitely the quickest to complete that one. It's relatively easy otherwise. The next 2 we have from Shorhan at the Cosmodrome. Both of these are pretty easy. You need to do 3 public events. It's worth noting that if you do the public event heroic, it will give you 2 points rather than 1, so you only really have to do 2 if you do heroic rather than normal. And then the next one is full spectrum, so you just need to get void, arc, and solar damage kills. It's 25 of each kill. It's pretty easy, just put on like an SMG of each flavor is usually how I do it. And just slay out while you're doing the public events. By the time you finish your public events, this is probably going to be done as well, as long as you're vaguely paying attention to it. So they're both very, very easy and very, very quick. Next, we have the next 2 are a bit more tricky. I'll go over the Ascendant challenge last because it's by far the most in-depth. Control experiment. During the Empire, hunt the Technocrat, defeat Praxis, and earn points by defeating combatants with precision final blows. I'm actually going to go to Varix and show you something there because it makes things a little easier. Alright, here we are at Varix.
Perhaps I have an answer.
Perhaps you do, Varix. So, this one here. Complete the Empire, hunt the Technocrat, defeat Praxis, and earn points by defeating combatants with precision final blows. So, the way that this works is 1, you can just do the mission for defeating Praxis. However, the precision final blows have to be in the mission, which is really irritating because they usually don't get enough precision kills just doing the mission once for that to count. However, you can get around this. Because these Empire hunts can be done as a mission variant, quote unquote, all you need to do is this week it's the Technocrat. If you claim this mission here, because this involves doing things in the open world, you can just get headshots while you have this in your inventory and it will count. It's kind of esoteric and annoying, but essentially what you would do, you don't actually need to go through with doing this, but claim this into your inventory until you've done all your precision kills. And then, after your precision kills are complete, you can safely remove this. So you can go into your quests and you can just say, go away, and delete it. Takes a surprisingly long time to delete. There we go. And once your precision kills are done, all you need to do is defeat the Technocrat, and you can do that from the map. So as you see here, the Empire Hunt will be on the map. It'll be in a different spot, depending on what Empire you're taking down. The Technocrat is down here, and then the other one's over here, and there's one up here, I think. But this is on a weekly rotation, so you can just do this mission. It's match made, it's relatively easy. There's usually a fair amount of people still doing them, I find, surprisingly. I generally don't have to solo them ever. I usually get actually match made into a group of 3, which is useful. I'm wondering whether that's just because the only time I ever do them is near around about this time, where everyone starts doing bounty hoarding, so I think the only people I'm running into are other people who are doing bounty hoarding with me. But, you know, whatever. But that is all for the weekly bounties, aside from the Ascendant challenges. And as I said, this one in Europa is on a rotator, so this week it is the Technocrat, next week it will be the Warrior, the week after that it will be the Dark Priestess. There's going to be 1 weekly bounty for each of them. They're relatively easy to complete, so I would say it's worth doing so. And finally we have the Ascendant challenges. It's kind of hard to describe the Ascendant challenges, the best way I can say to do these, go up and talk to Petra. She'll give you the mission to do the Ascendant challenge. The bounty itself will give you a clue to where the Ascendant challenge is. Just go to Google and say, where is the Ascendant challenge this week? That is the quickest way to do it. There are people who still do updates to this day every single week saying, hey, this is where the Ascendant challenge is. This is how you do it. Look it up for the week, because this will be different week to week, obviously. There are 6 of them in total, so if you start doing it before reset this week, which is in a couple of days at this point, I was a bit late putting this video out because of work and stuff, but if you do all 6 of them, you'll get 6 different bounties, all doing a big experience bonus. But it is worth noting, I could go over all of the Ascendant challenges right now, but it's going to be way simpler to look up a specific guide on how to do the Ascendant challenge that you're looking for. And the easiest way to do that is just go to Google and say, what is the Ascendant challenge this week? There will be someone who's written an article or have a YouTube video up saying, the week of such and such date, here's the Ascendant challenge, here's how to do it. Because that's going to be the easiest way to do it, because there is just, as I said, it does technically on the quest tell you where the Ascendant challenge is for the week you're doing it, but by God is it cryptic. Here we go. As you can see here, the Ascendant challenge. The Ascendant challenge itself is the Awoken have long practiced the art of walking between worlds, Teki and Kali. Ascendant challenge completed. This little text at the very bottom from Toland, they call it a rest, but is more truly a haunt. That is the clue you get to know where it is. This week, for reference, is an Aphelian's Rest, which is this lost sector down here in the Strand. The only way you're supposed to be able to know that is from that little sentence that Petra has right here at the bottom of the little quote from Toland is how you're supposed to figure that out. They call it a rest, but is more truly a haunt. The rest, in quotes, is what's leading you to Aphelian's Rest. As I said, they're cryptic, just look them up on Google. It's going to be much simpler for you. But that is all for the weekly bounties. What else am I doing for preparation? So, I'm doing a couple of things that are just generally good practice to have, notably having a bunch of Ascendant alloy, having a bunch of Ascendant shards. I should have more prisms than this, really. 21 is not enough. Same with cores. I'm very low on both of these. So, enhancement cores, enhancement prisms, Ascendant shards, and Ascendant alloy. All good things to have. Exotic ciphers, sure, if you want to collect them as well. They're also quite useful. Raid banners are very, very good, as well as phantasmal fragments. The reason that these are so good is because at the beginning of the final shape, legendary shards are going to cease to exist. So if you have a bunch of legendary shards, you want to spend them, and the best way to spend them is on raid banners and on phantasmal fragments, because there's no longer a way to convert them into enhancement cores. Annoyingly, for some reason they took this out with the previous season. There used to be a way to just essentially convert them directly to enhancement cores, which was fantastic, and I really wish they left that in, but whatever. But raid banners can be bought from Hawthorne. They're relatively cheap. I think it's 3 legendary shards per banner, or you can do it in groups of 10, so you can buy 10 for 30. As you can see here, I have like 1,000 sitting here. And these here, these phantasmal fragments, these can be bought from legendary shards at the lectern next to Eris on the moon. And these are literally glimmer, essentially, because you can go to Rahul and sell them to Rahul for glimmer. So it's a good way to bank a bunch of glimmer above your glimmer cap. The only other thing I would say that is potentially going to be a good idea to do, wait until it starts launching, there we go, is that I am also saving exotic engrams in my engram slot. This may end up being pointless, but the reason that I am doing this is just in case the new exotics that they release with the final shape, particularly the random rolled class item exotic, if some way I can focus that with these engrams, I want to have engrams here to be able to focus them, because as I said, they're going to be random rolled, so you're going to want good ones. So I'm just saving these as a just in case. But that's pretty much all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything super crazy. It is worth noting that I am also doing this on all 3 characters. So I have 3 characters. I have a Hunter, a Warlock, and a Titan. And I am saving the weekly bounties on all 3 of them. I am also going through and getting as many exotic engrams as I can on all 3 of them. I only really just started doing this. And then the last thing that is worth doing is just making sure that you finish your season pass if you haven't already. Going through and claiming everything from the season pass that you want to claim. Notably the Bright Dust things, the emotes, raid banners, all that kind of stuff. And that's about it. Pretty much prepared. As I said, none of this is particularly relevant. You don't really need to do any of this. but it does give you a kickstart at the start of the season, which is really useful for the artifact. But that's going to be it. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye, guys.